We'll be in touch. Yes, sir.
Scott Shular, Scott Ocean ready?
Building upstairs.
And we run the state level version of this event. So all these students will be up to a state level.
Yeah. Less taxes.
As a person, everyone, you have like a Vocational chance.
That's cool. We have something close. We have a teamwork competition where the trades work together to build a building. You guys don't use our phone. Yeah. But I like that. Yeah, I didn't. That's cool. Really good. Thank you so much for coming out. They do a great job.
So how can we add value? That's always my question. What do you guys need? He's got a budget line out in mind.
Funding, support from career and technical education. That's fine. Get out of the way. You probably
Quietly, it's a good
private schools. We've been able to partner with the Georgia Foundation for Public Education and state tax credit. And they've actually carved out some of that for us to support us. So
we can make a donation and it's earmarked for you guys.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And yeah, so you basically redirect, your individual taxes or
That show? Yeah, let's go ahead. Headphones on. There is a volume here that you can go up and down for how loud you'd like it.
Mike and Jonathan Greer.
Jonathan, Mike Dunham.
Nice to meet you, Mike.
And that's a key is we
Mike, a couple of things.
Yes, sir.
I'm Joshua. I'm the guy that yelled at you.
No problem, Josh.
So
You're going to have to get in the line and work on it if you're going to be at the top of the folks that yell at me.
that's obviously your camera right there.
I got it.
We also got a camera over here that's focusing on him.
I'll try not to
We have a
pick
guy-
my nose.
We have a guy walking around. What I would say is you want to remember when you're talking in here, you want to make a point, you want to make sure you're making eye contact there. That's who's watching.
There's a big one?
Yep.
Okay.
And then just make sure the microphone is within like an inch or two,
I'll
no
stay
more
on
than
top.
4 inches from you.
Have you
Give
done
me a sound
podcasts
check.
before,
Can you
Mike?
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
All right. I hadn't yet. Let's see.
Here, I'll help you with it.
Testing.
Hello.
I got
We pay more money for all these salaries.
Say again? Tonight, it's Tuesday, so probably Sloppy Joe Tuesday. Yeah.
groups of statewide trade association for the commercial construction industry.
Yeah.
We actually are doing 8 of these things. We had one last week
Yeah,
in
I was
Gainesville,
there last week.
right?
Yeah,
and then Thursday we'll be in Macon.
Oh, man.
Next week we'll be up in Rome.
Okay.
Week after that, Columbus, Statesboro, and Moultrie in the same week.
Oh, wow.
The week after that we'll be in Augusta.
Life on the road, man.
Yeah. Eight of them in a 3-week period. It's a load.
That is.
But it's so rewarding
I was
to
just
see
to get to that,
these kids doing the awards program, cheer for each other, see the amount of contractor support. I mean, the people that are turning out and giving up their time, which is the most important thing they have to give, and then, of course, dollars that come with it, materials, judging, every aspect of it. This is our issue. We've got to take ownership of it. We've got to move it forward. We got to, as I tell my members every day, get out behind their desk and go shake the hand of an instructor.
Right. So I'm going to start it off with just, Strack and who we are.
Okay.
And then be empowered to build a podcast.
Yeah.
And
I'll do who AGC is and what we do and who we are.
Yeah.
Why
So-
this is important.
Yeah, and that's something I want to get to during the podcast is the why. And I'll mention this again, but Jonathan Strack is real big on the why. And if everyone knows the why, then you get a better buy-in. You get more of a buy-in on everything.
I have a friend that says we're on the side of the angels doing the Lord's work. I mean, we're out here moving the needle on what's most important to our industry and
Right.
people come from to fill our industry needs.
Right here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're doing it.
That's it.
So,
Cool. Good to go. All right. Well, Mike, thanks for joining us. We're here with we got an Empowered to Build podcast. This is I'm with Strack Incorporated. We're doing a live podcast here, man. This is a first for me. But
yeah, have airplanes overhead and everything.
yeah, got all the noises, all the people, yeah, all the distractions, yeah. But we're gonna make it work. But at Strack, we're a heavy civil contractor. We're based out of Fairburn. We work all over the Southeast. We've got work in Florida. We've done work in South Carolina, North Carolina, Alabama, Tennessee, all around. But we are we're a values-based company. Like we have our core values: mindful in everything, better every day, humble hearts, open hands, everyone matters. And those are on the forefront of everything that we do. It plays a big role in what we do on our day-to-day. So we're out here today at the AGC Skills Challenge. And I think these are great events. I've been to 2 or 3 of these, and the turnout is amazing. The buy-in is amazing. I think I don't know. It's just great to be a part of, great to see. And but anywho, so we've got Mike Dunham here with us. He's with AGC. So give us a little background about you.
Sure. I've been with AGC now 43 years.
Oh, wow.
Associated General Contractors of Georgia is a statewide construction association. We've got members all over the state. You know, the biggest companies you can think about, building the high rises, building the big sites for the big plants. But then we have a lot of family-owned, closely held business, people that are second, third, fourth, even a fifth generation company. And so they build the states. They build, you're talking about the value added, they build your communities. They build your affordable housing. They build your churches. They build your hospitals. They build your schools. They make everything possible for a quality of life. And our challenge as an industry right now is clearly workforce. And that's the reason so many people are giving of their time. People have contributed their dollars. And the time's the most valuable thing they can give us. And this is our issue. I've been telling the membership now for quite a few years, this is our issue, and no one fixes it for us but us. And you got to get out behind your desk. You got to go shake the hand of that instructor. You got to come to these events and participate. You got to talk up our industry. We got to learn the hearts and minds of the moms and dads and get them to understand you can make a great living. It's a high demand, high pay type of career. And you can work anywhere on the planet. You can certainly work right at home every day, building your community. Get it right before it's over.
So just start anytime?
What do you think? Yeah.
All right, so here we are. We have a live episode on the Empowered to Build podcast. My name is Jonathan Greer. I'm with Strack Incorporated. We are heavy civil contractors out of Fairburn, Georgia, just south of Atlanta. We have a pretty good footprint in the Southeast. We do a lot of work. We do obviously in the Metro Atlanta area, but we stretch out to Florida, to Alabama, to South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee. We're here today at the AGC Skills Challenge, and there's obviously we've talked about that there's a gap in the workforce, and I think last week you mentioned there was, for every 4 that leaves, only 1 is filling in those shoes. So obviously we can't go on like that. The future will not. It won't withhold that. So, and there's plenty of work to do around Georgia. There's plenty of work to do everywhere, not just in Georgia. And so what I love about these is that we have the next generation. We have them from all over the state, and we have all the trades out here, not just the heavy great that we're here to show them the new technology, the skills and the things that are needed to succeed. And but I'm happy to be a part of it, Mike. And so anyway, we have Mike Dunham here with AGC. So let's tell the good people a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been with AGC now 43 years.
Nice.
It's a great organization. The Associated General Trade Association for the commercial.
If I knew I could send you in there, I would, but I come out
So
local.
what we do
Yeah, I don't know
is
if the reach is going to be good enough, especially with brick
Yeah,
walls.
we didn't test it yet. All right.
There we go. A little bit of technical difficulties
Well, I
there.
mean, this is live, right?
It's live, man. We're going at it.
Yeah, we either the plane's going to fly over or we're going to get headset feedback.
That's right. It's all
But
good.
I would
We'll
say,
overcome.
AGC is a statewide construction association. What we work on for our membership is advocacy down at the Capitol. We do a lot of work in safety and education and training of all type. And clearly workforce right now is one of our biggest issues.
Right.
Because as you mentioned, we have an aging out population where 4 people are leaving our industry, but we're only having 1 person enter the industry. We, for too long, for 40-something years, everybody has to go to college. Everybody has to go to college, and that's just not true. There are some very high-paying, high-demand careers in construction: plumbing, carpentry, electrical, heavy equipment operator. A truck driver can make 6 figures in this state.
Absolutely.
It's just that we have a demand. Georgia's one of the best states to do business in, and that's a big point to make. We've got a demand that's going to be with us for a long time, but every time they announce a new plant opening or the expansion of the port, or we're going to grow some new businesses, they got to have buildings built, they got to have infrastructure put
Absolutely.
in, they got to just get the trees we call clearing and grubbing. We got to get And I've told the membership, this is our problem. Nobody fixes it for us but us.
Right.
I mean, we got to get out behind our desk. We got to go meet these instructors.
Yeah.
We got to participate in these events. That's the reason we're doing 8 of these in the next 3
Right.
weeks. And the local industry's taking ownership. They're giving of their time. They're volunteering. They're making contributions financially to support those local schools. Every dime that we have here that we don't use in the actual event, we're going to go back and give the schools that participated a check.
Nice.
Because they got consumables,
Right.
they need support for their materials, things wear out.
Absolutely.
So I tell this story and I think it's important. My wife taught school for 37 years.
Good for her.
A lot of that time was in kindergarten.
It takes a special person.
Yeah,
It takes a
and she
special
was
person.
really, really good at it. And so what happens is they have these center times. And the most popular center times for a 5-year-old, it's the Lego table, Lincoln Logs, Tinker Toys, and Play-Doh.
Stuff
At
with your
5
hands,
years of age, they're building, they're creating, they're stacking, they're designing.
Right.
If a 5-year-old comes into this world as builders,
Right.
our job and our responsibility in the industry is to never let that die. And that's the reason we've developed a program working with elementary kids and middle school kids into the high school programs to grow that pathway, to demonstrate to the parents and the influencers that this is a great industry to be in.
Definitely is a great industry, and there's plenty to learn. Plenty to learn. So you touched on college, and there's nothing wrong with college. I think college is not for everyone. I went to college.
I did too.
Yeah, I went to college, and when I got out of college, it was in 2011. So that was kind of when the world was kind of coming out of that, that recession that we had. And that was one of those trades that you can learn and you can take with you. And I feel like that is what these kids need to understand, is that you don't have to go to college. College is not for everyone. And you're here, we have the leaders in the industry teaching you a trade, something that you can take with you.
It never can be taken away from you.
Correct.
Once you learn how to be a carpenter or a bricklayer or an operate a piece of equipment, you can do that job anywhere on the planet, and it's yours forever and ever. But Mitchell College, short distance from here, is Kennesaw State University.
Right.
Has an outstanding construction management program. There's one at Georgia Tech and Georgia Southern. So if you love working with your hands and you're one of those students and you want to go on and get your degree in construction management to be a superintendent, a project manager, an estimator, our industry needs that too. Those people are aging out like everybody else, and so every company is looking for good supervision, good leadership, project managers, estimators. So I'm just trying to say our industry has a high demand in all aspects of our industry right now, be it the trades, or be it the career path through the university. So, and in the state of Georgia, we're pretty fortunate to have the strong academic programs that we have.
Yeah, very fortunate. And I don't so much remember it when I was a kid coming up through high school. I don't remember the big push for learning a trade. And I just remember the big push to go to college.
Yeah.
That was, and I don't know how did it get that way, Mike? What happened?
It's hard to say. Of why that became what everyone should envision. Well, your guidance counselors that are in school, they know education paths. They may not know our construction path, and that's one of the things we're trying to do as an industry is to help educate counselors on how to talk to students about that pathway. We had parents that just had a negative attitude. I don't want my son and daughter working with their hands or doing that kind of work, and now it's changing. We're having parents right now in this event today that are standing there for the full 2 hours watching their kids compete, extraordinarily happy that they've learned this trade and very supportive. So it's beginning to turn, and of course college debt came around and that made a big difference.
Well, I think the parents being a part of this is another big thing, because I have kids, and I like to be present with whatever they're doing. And I think if parents, other leaders are present in teaching these kids, showing them the right way, I think that'll make a difference. And I think that kind of fills the why, because at Strack, that's something that Jonathan Strack preaches, is if we tell these young generations the why of what we're doing and things like that, then they tend to follow. They tend to want to be a part of it. They tend to want to be a part of the next generation. They tend to want to be a part of the future of what's up and coming.
One of the whys that's so great about our industry is when you're the project manager, the superintendent, or a craft worker, and you drive by a building the year after or 20 years after, you can point at that building and go, I built that. I was a part of having that project come out of the ground today. That's a big part of our community. Right. It's our local hospital, or it's the church I attend. Right. So you can, a lot of things you can say, well, I built that car. Well, you were on the assembly line, but you saw it go by. Right. But in construction, what we do, that site work, that sewer plant, that high rise, in every aspect, the student of the day can point to something and go, I built that.
I physically built that. And there is something for me when you see that instant gratification, because I'm lucky enough there's still trees growing, So I see that aspect of it, and then as the months go on, I see it turn into the neighborhood. I see it turn into the foundation and everything for the warehouse or whatever it may be. So we kind of talked about the why. So I think another reason, this is just my own thinking here, Mike, but I think that another reason why kids are kind of turned away from construction is the intimidation factor of it. I feel like there's a certain level of intimidation. Is that something that you see?
That's a big part of the reason there's so many observers. We have the competitors here, the folks who are actually competing in the task. But there's a lot of observers that are walking around watching their fellow student do what they do. That's an introduction. Right. We last week had a lot of middle schoolers. We want to introduce it as early as possible. That, hey, I want to learn how to do that. I want to be an introduction. So what you don't know you can be intimidated by it.
Right.
The more you can get introduced to it, the better it is. We have a tool called U-Science that shows us that students have a huge aptitude for our industry. They actually, when they're exposed to it, can do quite well. Last week, the #1 competitor in welding was a young lady.
Wow.
The #1 competitor in masonry was a young lady. Women have a higher aptitude in this
Right.
than they know,
Right.
and can be very successful at it.
Right.
So introducing this to more women and minorities, that there's a place for
Right.
them in our industry, is also a part of this messaging, is that you can be successful in it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and let's be honest, women are smarter than men. So
There's certainly more detail out there.
exactly. Well, another thing too about construction in general. That's something that we've been talking to with some of the kids as they come up. When we talk about heavy civil, immediately you go to the equipment, but there's more to that. Like we have a welding shop, we have a full mechanic shop, we have a finance department, we have HR, we have a safety department. So just because you're getting into construction doesn't mean that you're stuck in that. There's so much more inside of construction that you can be exposed to.
Your company's like I've heard from others. I need someone that understands how to come out and service my equipment.
Yeah.
Can drive the truck in out there
Yep.
and get it running every single morning, and that's a high demand. So if you're good, if you like working with trucks and cars and become to, as I mentioned, just get up the next day and delivering aggregate, hauling away debris. We just got to have it. And then people don't think about it, but without those folks, the process really does slow down.
Right. We have a big logistics department, and I'm always amazed at how we just get stuff from A to B.
Yeah.
It is definitely a muscle movement, and it is definitely needed in our industry. And but I think that's I don't know. I just feel like a lot of people don't think of that, of the other aspects of these trades that you're able to get into.
Right. And you, like I say, you said you started out as a surveyor, but it exposed you what else was out there, and you found your way pretty quickly. And that's the reason these skills challenges are so important, because it does introduce carpentry, electrical, plumbing. You might be competing as a carpenter, but it's also, this is another area in which you can become an entrepreneur.
For sure.
Now, if you learn the trade of plumbing and you did nothing but replace hot water tanks and leaking toilets, you can have a successful
You can feed your family
career.
doing that.
Yeah, very well,
For
because
sure.
anybody that's had to have that done lately can go, what do you mean it's 2 weeks before you can get to me?
Right.
And how much it costs. So the demand's there, the pay is extraordinarily high-paying careers, and the opportunity exists today probably higher than it ever has.
Right. So you're around all these other trades and stuff. At Strack, we're really big on values. We have core values: mindful in everything, better every day, humble hearts and open hands. Everyone matters, and those are the things that we put out front. Those are the things, like we talked to Jonathan about it in a previous podcast, and those things have always been a part of Strack. It's just now we're on the rooftop now, screaming it out and trying to make it less intimidating. I kind of come back to that. And do you see other companies taking that same approach, or?
I'm real happy to say that I have. I mean, building a culture in your company, building those values as you speak. You're in a competition to find good people,
right,
and you're in a competition to retain good people. So companies are working harder than ever to make it a safe environment.
Right.
They're building a family environment where people want to be there, because the opportunities are so plentiful. If you're not feeling it, you can move on. And so companies work very, very hard to build this culture internally that helps them build.
the things that when I talk to these young guys here and they come up to our booth and talk to us, and and they're like, oh, well, I don't know this, I don't know that. Well, we don't care what you know or don't know. What we care is if you have a positive attitude and you have good effort. Those are the two things that we care about. And if you have those two things, we can teach you the rest.
Yeah, my two, and I put it like this: if you have integrity and work ethic,
there you go.
The rest is all teachable.
Right.
So if you come in, you have personal values, you have your integrity, you understand that, and you're just willing to learn and have a work ethic. Make that, every day. Show up, be ready to work, be ready to learn.
That's it.
The companies are ready to invest in good people that have those two foundations and a work ethic, and the rest will come to you.
Yeah.
I think anybody can be successful in life when those two things are present.
Yeah. And apply yourself, and I think the options are endless. They truly are. And I hope that these things come through on events like this today. Yeah. And I hope the future is. I hope they see the bright future ahead of them, the possibilities.
I think you see that when you go out there. If someone was here watching these students, and you see the care they take, the laying out of their tools, their measurements, they're looking at the plans, studying the plans to put in what's called for, and at the level that they work in this 2-hour period to construct, you see that these students have got that, and they're the ones who contractors, quite frankly, are looking for. I've had many times where contractors would go over and give their card out and says, when you're ready for a job this summer, or if you're about to graduate and you're looking for a career path, give me a call, because they see that in this group of students.
That's it's good to see, and I'm glad to hear that other companies, other trades are kind of in on that caring. I hate to sound, it just sounds so simple, but I feel like it is very effective. If you just show that you care and just put forth, that you care, put that in the forefront. And I think it really, that's another part of helping with the why, if you can.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cause a lot of people want to be a part of that. I do. That was a big draw for me to come to Strack, cause I came from, a Fortune 500 company, and I was, and for me to come from a big company like that to a family-owned business, and it was a big leap for me. But at the same time, I saw that they cared, and I saw that they're willing to give people opportunities.
Yeah.
And
well, I said I've been working for AGC for 43 years, and I have to say, as an industry, they're some of the greatest entrepreneurs, made companies. I mean, they put there's a lot of risk in construction. There's a lot of demands. You're working against the weather, and you're working against elements that make it competitive. We went through a horrible pandemic that had big impact on our industry. These people persevere. They see the problems. They know how to work problems. They overcome. They adapt. They adjust to make what they need to be built. And you just don't see that very often anymore. But this is one of those industries that clearly is some of the best people in the world.
Yeah, this is one of those industries too. I spoke with Josh from Blackline earlier, and we spoke about the grind. The grind is something that's part of it, and you have to embrace that. And it's not always going to be easy, but the end goal is what needs to be in your mind. And so it's all about the grind, and something that I mentioned earlier, sometimes you got to embrace the suck. It's not,
I mean, it will challenge you.
For sure.
And any contractor who's ever been in the business any length of time will say there has been some challenging days.
Absolutely.
But the perseverance to get them to the point of success, the reward is so huge.
Yes. Especially when using their hands, building something that they can physically see, physically touch. Well, Mike, I appreciate you coming. And where can everyone?
www.agc. We've got chapters across the country. Organization with a great presence across the country. Georgia's one of the bigger chapters in the nation. We've got a very active membership, working this issue, working down at the Capitol, working to help contractors. My elevator speech is so simple. It says we're simply here to help contractors be the best contractor they can be,
Right.
and to build a better industry.
Thank you so much for being here.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoy it. The street, he's got looks like a student he's going to interview here, and let's see what they have to say.
Thanks, Greer. It's Aaron Nick here with a young man from what high school are you with?
Adairsville High School.
Adairsville. So what's your name again, bud?
Trenton Mueller.
Trenton Mueller. So Trenton, what do you plan to do, man? Like you going to college, or you have want to go into a trade?
Yeah, I'm trying to go into the welding trade.
Welding. All right, like stick, MIG, TIG. Like what do you want to do, man?
Yeah, just probably stick or MIG, like fabrication.
Fabrication, like heavy steel type thing?
Yeah.
What grade are you in?
I'm in the 10th grade.
10th grade. So through all this, how long do you think it's going to take you to be like a grade A top-notch welder?
It'll probably take the rest of my high school, maybe some other college classes welding.
Right?
Yeah.
And through that time, like, are you working while you're in school, or you just going to school and worrying about life after that?
Yeah, I'm taking welding classes at the Bartow College and Career Academy, dual enrollment right now. So I'm trying to learn the trade and get better at it.
I got you. You like the trade teachers better than like the English and the math teachers?
Oh yeah, a lot better.
Well, what makes them better than those teachers? Or like maybe not better, but like the classes you take, how do you think they help you anymore?
They teach a lot of life lessons too. They help you through a bunch of stuff. And they kind of just get. They're a lot helpful than a lot of English teachers and math and all that.
Well, we'll keep.
Yeah, I like government.
Government, yeah. Right? So, are there any teachers that do you think when you get done with all this, there's going to be some teachers that you want to go back and thank for the work they put in to help you get better?
Oh yeah, definitely my welding teacher.
Welding teacher? You want to give them a shout out on the live here?
Yeah, Miss Shelley Downs.
Shelley Downs. Well, thank you for this great young man and the things he does. What about your parents? Are they bought into this, or they think you ought to be like playing baseball or football?
I used to play baseball, but now I'm trying to get more into welding and all that. But yeah, they support me.
So you think there's anything you could take with what you learned from welding class and apply it to other things in life?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like, give me some examples of that.
Oh, gosh. Well, re-ask the question.
Well, like applying like what you learn in welding, you know, like you got to do your work right the first time. You've got to do a good job. If you do substandard work, it's not going to last. So things like that. Like, are there other things in life that you want to put extra effort into that you can apply the same rules that you learn from welding into life?
Oh yeah, I can. Yeah, I like help people with like welding and weld things and help people with stuff.
You like to teach them?
Teach them, yeah.
Well, so I can agree with that. Are you wanting to stay around Georgia with that, or you wanting to go be a pipeliner, or go off on the road, or do anything like that?
Yeah, I'm looking into pipeline. I think it'd be pretty cool going somewhere.
Right. Well, so I'm going to go ahead and hand it back over to Greer, but as I'm handing all this back off, Stracking also has a tunneling and boring division that we need welders and we need good young men like you, but I'm going to send it back to those guys. We're at the AGC Metro Skills Challenge for Stracking.
All right. Here we are. We're going to continue on with the Empower to Build podcast. We've got the man himself, Jonathan Strack, here. Thanks for being here, man. Yeah. I think we got a dead in his microphone over there. Are we good? Yeah, I think we're good.
All right, good.
Yeah, nice.
There we go.
So Man, is this your first time being to one of these skills challenges? Or?
Yeah, this is my first time at a skills challenge. You know, we started doing all this last year, and the one we did at the World Congress Center happened right when we had winter break, so I couldn't go. Yeah, this is awesome to see.
It's cool to see, man. It really is, and that I'm glad that we're a part of it. I'm happy to be here, a part of it, and I think we get great interaction with everything we've got going here. And Aaron's like absolutely crushing it with all this. But anyway, I was talking earlier and about, you know, of course we always got to mention our core values with everything we do, man, and I think that plays a big role in who we are and what we do. And I mentioned it earlier to Mr. Mike Dunham about the core values, and that's something that he's seeing amongst other companies, and I was happy to hear that. Like I didn't know that's. I just kind of figured that was just, you know, us. But but is that something that you see when you talk to other leaders in the industry? Is that
they're out there now? Whether or not, you know, you're living by them, that's a different discussion. Nobody's perfect, but you know, we made the choice probably 36 months ago to, you know, really lead culture first, and it got to the point where, you know, it's not just me running the business or me and Dad, and now it's a whole team of folks, and you got to sit down and define what your family and your company stood for a long time. So that's where ours came from. I mean, it felt like we've always been doing it, but now it's a true statement. So it's a little bolder, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like now we're on the rooftops now screaming it out, and we're it's like I said, it's on the forefront. It's something that everyone talks about. Like when I go to job sites, you know, you hear people talking about it. So I just want to let you know that it is something that's talked about, and it's something that I see. I see that everyone cares, and I don't know. It makes a big difference.
Yeah,
it makes a big difference. Something else. I had a quick question. I know we spoke earlier, but I have a different one. So, you know, you're the third generation running this thing, man.
Yep.
I mean, there's got to be an intimidation factor about that.
Oh yeah. I mean, you know, growing up, you know, you feel like you got to go prove yourself,
right,
and go earn your way. You don't want it given to you, and it seem like you're entitled or some other thing like that. And you know, you just at the end of the day, like once you figure out after about 2 or 3 weeks on the job, and you're sweating in the middle of the summer, everybody forgets who you are. Like they're happy you're there to help.
Right.
And as long as you're doing a good job and you're just a sponge. Like I used to not talk a whole lot,
right,
you know, on the job. Like I'm gonna be your quiet guy. I'm gonna work hard, and I'm gonna listen and learn, and not try and embarrass myself or my family. I can tell you when I was it's a learned skill. It isn't natural.
That's for sure.
You know,
yeah, I have a hard time with it.
No, but you're natural at it, and it's like, you know, the more you do it, and
exactly.
You know, like we were talking off mic, if it's genuine, it's easy to talk about.
It is.
You know,
you're right.
Yeah,
you're right. Because the reason I asked that question because I came across some statistic, and I'm sure you probably saw that. I wish I could remember the numbers, but you know, third generation, you know, it was started back in '48, man. That was after World War II, you know,
yep.
and your grandfather had that's a different kind of grind back then.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
You know, and coming out of the war and all that. So you got that kind of grind, and then you've got Mr. Joe, your dad, kind of took over, and then it comes to you, and then there's like, I wish I could remember the numbers, but it was something like a 30% success rate first generation, and then it like goes in half as it passes through each generation.
It's a single digit percentile
and
by the time you get to the third.
I want to say it's like 8%.
It's 8 or 9. Yeah.
So
that's
I mean,
what I've always heard.
That's got to be something that you think about, man. So how do you push through all that, man? I think I know how you push through it, just from what I see. But how do you think you push through all that, man?
Yeah, it's just, you know, it's what you learn at home, and you got great examples in the house, and then on top of that, I had a bunch of great gentlemen and ladies that I could learn from growing up, and they all represented a little different thing. You know, one might be resilient, one might be, you know, do a quality job no matter what it costs you, you know, that kind of deal, or always do it right, the first time, no matter what.
And that's something that I've noticed is, I don't mean to cut you off, but that's something that I've noticed is doing the right thing no matter what the cost is.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean,
yeah.
but money's just money. You can always make more of it, and the minute you covet it, it's the minute it's your downfall. And at the end of the day, money's a tool, and that's how you should treat it. And it's not the end all be all. It's not the measurement of success. Sure, being profitable enables you to give back, recruit, go do these events, send people places, give raises, give nice pickups. So yeah, that helps that. But at the end of the day, you need to go spread the love.
Yeah, man, for sure. And spreading the love, we talked about earlier. Speaking with the guys from Blackline, and they were talking about how we did the Give Back Day.
Yeah.
And how he was amazed at that. Is that something else that I ask you all this because I've only worked for you, man. Like I don't know the other industry. So
well,
are other companies doing this? I mean, is it just us?
Yeah, I'm sure there's other folks out there, and I'm not one that's going to pay attention a whole lot to what everybody else is doing as much. That's I don't know that anytime I've ever made that mistake and gotten prideful and done that, I've made a mistake. So I don't look at the noise, but there's folks, you always see people, big companies doing Habitat for Humanity,
right.
But anybody that's going to listen to this or watching or listening right now, that was a part of that, we took pictures, we put it on social media, but then 10 is, y'all come live this with us. This has always been a family value. We thought enough of it to shut down, give up literally millions of dollars worth of revenue for the day to go do it,
right.
And to make a point to say, hey, you need to give back and you need to take time, little or big, to affect whatever you can in the world around you. It doesn't have to be big stuff.
Right.
It can be as simple as, hey, you opened the door for somebody today. You bought lunch for somebody you could see that might have been struggling counting coins in front of you. Whatever it may be, little acts of kindness go a long way.
Yeah, and that kind of ties into the whole mental health of people too.
Yeah,
absolutely. And that's a big thing right now in today's world is mental health, and doing stuff like that, it makes a big difference to people. And I try to be nice. Everyone has their days, man, where they don't want to talk to nobody.
Oh no, yeah, everybody has it.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect,
Right.
and it's just there's just some days you're not feeling it, and that's just human. That's okay.
Yeah, for sure. I always try to talk to people when I'm out on job sites. I try to talk to the superintendents and to the operators and those guys. I try, but a lot of times I'm out there. I've got what I got to do, and I got to get it done. So
yeah.
But I have another question, man. We were, well, I got you here,
Loaded
man. I'm gonna just hammer you with them. So, but no, we talk about the family and what that means, and but so what obligations as an employer, do you have to your employees? And I know that's kind of a deep one, but I heard, I can't take full credit for this question. I heard it the other day, but I kind of have the answer in my mind, but I kind of wanted to hear from you.
Okay. I'm not going to give you the cookie cutter legal answer. I'm going to give you the what I think.
That's what we
try
want,
to do answer. So, obviously in our business, you got to provide a safe working environment and the tools to do that.
Right.
So, French boxes, ladders, PPE,
right.
all that stuff. But, to take it a step further, I want to be able to give you really nice things that, you want to take advantage of, like a good hard hat, good sunglasses, good boots. But outside of that, it's you need to share your successes at the end of the day, and you need to give people a voice to be themselves. And we have always wanted to provide an environment that's safe for growth,
right.
And that's what we're trying to do all the way around. Is at the end of the day, you're trying to make everything you touch better and ready for whatever may come and whoever may come behind you, because I feel like as an employer I got to make really good decisions, because folks' livelihood depends on our decisions. You know,
Right.
if we mess up and lose a bunch of money and have to lay people off, like, you can't make your house payment, you can't, you know, take your kids to the dentist, and, you know, at the end of the day, I've got to make really good decisions on behalf of everybody else so you can have a good life, and then we can pay a better than average wage, and hopefully give back in some bonus, you know, and at the end of the day, like, we don't really have an official profit sharing program, but man, we're giving away $3 or $4 million a year in bonus.
I was
you
about
know?
to say there's
Yeah.
some other there's some other things going on.
I mean, it's a good share of the profits going back to everybody at the end of the day. So,
and that's something that I see every day. I see it.
Yeah, like, we don't want to give you just the bare minimum. Like, we want to give you a better tool than most people would have, and pay you better and treat you better.
Right.
And at the end of the day, like, call it golden rule, karma, whatever it is, like, treat people how you want to be treated.
And that was that was what I had in my head.
Yeah,
is
I mean,
because you say all those things, and that's what it is, man. I see it. You treat people how you want to be treated. If you see someone struggling with whatever it is, you help them out, man. And
yeah. Now you have this team that's got to lead in this manner, and the minute it's not happening, it makes you look fake or disingenuous, and you know, and that's the things I don't like. You know, like, I would rather treat somebody well but cost us money than to, like, think about that dollar first and screw somebody over. That's not okay. You know?
That's something that I try to I go back to my kids, man. That's something that I try to instill. I try to instill these values in my kids, and this is something that I talk about these values with our kids, with my kids, and you know, their little brains just kind of explode. But I try to explain it to them, and I try my best, man. And because, I mean, at the end of the day, you're trying to raise productive people in society, man.
Yeah, you're raising, like, heroes or criminals.
Exactly.
Like, at the end of the day, it's like, I'm like anybody else. It's like, man, I hope I'm doing the right thing, and I hope this person that's a reflection of me is a benefit to society and not a drain on a society or a family.
Exactly.
You know, and that's all you can do is, you know, live it by example.
Yeah, and I see that, but I'm glad you said that. Treat people how you want to be treated. That's the golden rule, right? I mean, but I definitely treat people how you want to be treated, man.
Yeah.
And I think that goes a long way, and that's something that we're out here amongst all these high school kids, and I don't know. You don't necessarily know if they realize that, and it's hard. So it's like, how do you present that to these kids who are coming into the workforce? You know what I mean? Like, how do you get that across to them?
All right, so you learn, you know, we learned in our frontline leadership training, and a piece of it, like, man, like, physically your brain isn't even developed enough at a certain age to think about that. Like, I think through my career, you know, you're talking about, like, pressures of growing up in a family business, like, all I'm thinking about it, you know, 15 to 21, 22 is, you know, how do I grow myself, my stature?
Right.
You're not really thinking about, hey, how am I growing my next folks behind us? So it's just lead by example, because it's the apprenticeship model, you know.
Right.
You learn side by side with somebody, and eventually that somebody trusts you to do the job, and then you start becoming that somebody and teaching somebody else. It ain't changed.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no aha moment. It's just, man, it's a lot of little moments that you look back on that you probably learned something from, that person, shoot, they didn't know what they were doing in that moment.
Right.
You know?
Josh asked me earlier, he said, what mistakes have you made that you've learned from? I'm sure you've got a couple, man.
Yeah, no, like I said, anytime I've ever found myself looking at what somebody else is doing or comparing us to somebody else, like, that's the trap.
Yeah.
That's the trap. That's the prideful trap. Like, at the end of the day, put best effort in everything you're doing. and let the results speak for themselves. I mean,
Stay humble, man. You're probably one of the most humble human beings I've ever met, man. That's one of when I think of that humble hearts and open hands, when I read that, I think of you. That's what I think of.
Yeah,
every time, man.
Fewer and further between. Like you
Right.
never. That's one of the things I learned through some hard lessons is there's a time and a place for being strict or repercussions, but fear is a motivator very, very seldomly that should ever be used as a motivator.
I don't think fear works with
No.
the younger generation.
No, there's very few times. The only time you should pull that tool out of the box, I think, is if it's an obvious moral issue like theft, fraud,
Right.
something like that, something like that. Then it's like, okay, you need to understand clear consequences.
Right.
But other than that, demeaning somebody. But outside of that, hey, motivate in a positive way. That's the thing I've learned.
That's something that I try to do. Keep going back to my kids.
Yeah.
That's something that I try to do is, not parent with fear, and that is something that my wife has had to remind me of a few times. Is to not have fear be a part of your parenting, or provoking fear on your kids as a part of your parenting. That's not it.
Yeah.
That's not it at all. But we talked about mistakes. I made a mistake the other day on a job site, man, and it was one of those not paying attention.
I heard about it. I heard about it.
Yeah.
I heard about it.
Yeah, it sucked, man, and it was.
Believe it or not, man, Anthony was your best advocate that day.
Really? Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, he was.
Man.
He was.
I appreciate
And,
that. I felt terrible, man. I felt terrible.
Yeah. What'd you do though? Like, you owned the mistake, right?
Yeah, I owned it, man. I owned every bit of it, and it was, after it happened, Dunlap called me and was like, "Hey, man, blah blah blah," and I went back and looked at it, and I was like, "Damn." But it goes back to not paying attention, and paying attention is what I'm trying to drive here is paying attention and being present, and I think that is something that is a lesson to be taught out here is paying attention and being present.
Yeah, no, that's the, especially, I feel like as a society,
Yeah.
I mean, we're a little more ADHD than we used to be.
Right.
Reprogrammed from that device, and you learn from safety and defensive driving stuff. Like, hey, you put that phone down. From the time you put that phone down, it takes about 20 seconds before your mind is like truly focused on something else. The first time I ever saw that, I'm like, that ain't right.
Yeah.
Oh, it totally is.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you're still like, you're thinking through that text message or whatever it was you just got, and all the while you're kind of autonomously doing this job you've done for years.
Yeah.
And then you look down and like, that ain't right.
Yeah, and like you're essentially like blind, like you're like going blind, you're working blind, and so. But anyway, that ate me up. And it's just simple as paying attention, and that was something that Josh and I talked about earlier is paying attention to the small stuff, and that's something that I learned from the PM world, man. You gotta. If it doesn't make sense, it don't make dollars. You gotta pay attention to the small stuff, and you overlook that kind of stuff, man, and it could come back and get you. But
it's just diligence.
It is.
It's just diligence.
It
It's
is.
like calling yourself back to all those things that are there for a reason and following them.
Right, right. And it was a very humbling experience for me because it's one of those things. It's just so obvious. But anyway, it hurt, but it's all good. I'll own it. I'll learn from it, and we'll be better for it. But how are we looking over there? They ready? All right. Well, Jonathan, I appreciate you being here, man.
All right.
And thanks for letting me be here, man.
You do a great job. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I try hard anyway. I hope that comes across. I'm at least trying hard, man. So
No, you're doing great.
And I hope that comes across to the next generation, man. That we are trying hard, man. We're trying hard to give them a future. We're trying hard to have them something to work towards.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's what this is all about today, is just trying to expose our industry and tell our story to folks that may be interested in it. Hey, come give us a look, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
For sure. We're here. StrackInc.com is where you can find us, man.
Yep.
So anyway, I think Aaron Nick's got another bystander over there he's going to wrangle up. So let's turn it over to Nick.
Thanks, Greer. I'm here with two gentlemen from Cobb County Schools that I think can help us a lot with what we're seeing today and how we're going to navigate education in the trades. And so, gentlemen, to my right, I'm sorry, your name is?
Randy Scamahorn with the Cobb School Board.
Mr. Randy Scamahorn, and
I'm Brad Wheeler.
Mr. Brad Wheeler with the Cobb County School Board. And Randy, you're which part of Cobb do you, I guess, what is your work area?
My primary area is Northwest Cobb.
Okay, Northwest, and then?
I'm in West Cobb.
West Cobb. And so what you guys, through conversations earlier, you've been in the trades over 30 years each. So it's education, not in trades. Education. So there's my public school education. But no, like, you guys, like, how has it changed from what you started out in?
Well, as far as getting a high school diploma, it's really about the same. There's a certain amount of curriculum you have to get through, and then you graduate. But we offer a lot more variety of programs than when you and I were in school. If they want to go into the trades, or if they want to go into college or the military, our school counselors can help guide them much better now than when we were young.
Yes, sir. And so I got another question that I'll go to you is, how can the trades help you in the schools? Like, what do you need, I guess, from like private industry or from unions? Like, how can we start to help the schools help the kids?
That's a good question. I think you need to promote it. These are essential services, whether it's electrical, plumbing, welding. Every kid, if you have children, they're not all the same. I think that the role of the school system is to provide a quality education for our students. If you're going to the academic route, you need to have those academic classes and focus that way, so when you leave, you can compete with the others in the country or the world. On the other hand, if you're going to the trades, you need those skills as well, and the exposure to these programs, I think, is essential. Because, like I say, if you have children of your own, they're all not the same, and they're all essential. I think that the school system, I know since Mr. Scamahorn and I've been on the board, you've seen a focus more to this career tech programs that you didn't see, 20, 30, 40 years ago. They were pushing everybody the academic route, and we both championed this role.
Yes, sir. And I guess as a construction worker, the joke I'll make is it's really hard for an academic to read a book by candlelight when they have a flashlight or a light, now. And so as we're going through this, where would you like to see any of this go? Is there something, maybe you've seen an idea here today or one of these that you would like to see this next evolution of all this?
Well, excuse my tickle cough, but one of the things that contractors and private employers in the trades can do for us is we have limited amount of money for renewables. Like when you like today, we're watching behind the cameraman, we're watching the masonry people. Well, when you use that block, it's tough to reuse it. So we need different employers to step up if they can to help us, whether it's drywall or whether it's plumbing fixtures. electrical wiring. Our teachers are very creative and can reuse some of it, but they can't reuse all of it. So we need that. The other thing I would say too is get into your local high school with the cooperation of the principals or the district that you may work in, and get to know those kids and find out what they need. Whether it's welding or electrical or plumbing or whatever. So.
Yes, sir. And I guess from the limited amount that I know about schools and high school now, because I'm from the trades, but would you say that like counselors also, just as much as in colleges, like the counselors can start to learn some of the trades as well and help us on that?
I think that'd be beneficial. The trades need to work with the counselors to expose them to the programs that are there. I know that our SETA program has a bunch of different programs, but these fields continue to expand. Like say, being here today, when the building are out here or over there, you see a broad variety of trades, and like say, it's not just one thing. So you expose the kids, they can guide them possibly to something that would be beneficial to them.
Like when the kids, have any of the kids said anything to you guys that maybe give you value? Like when you're talking to a kid about what they're doing and you're like, wow, like this is what we should have been doing. Like this is the right thing.
Can I have that one?
Oh, yes, sir.
Jump in on that?
No, sure.
We spoke with two of the SETA kids here today.
Yes, sir.
The two young ladies. I think one was in welding or HVAC or something. They love it. There you go. I mean, maybe that's something that they'll make a career of. I think it's wonderful. That's great programs.
If I may, Mr. Wheeler referenced SETA. That's our acronym for Career Innovation and Technology Academy. Okay. And that we like to get our students in there when they're freshmen or at the very latest as sophomores. We can take a junior here and there, but that way it gives them a chance to get a 3, if not a 4-year chance to graduate with certification. And our teachers, and I'm sure most of the others, are certified in certain areas where they're ready to take that certifying test when they get out, depending on the age, and what they want to do. But certainly, and simulators are good. I know your trailer has a couple of very good excavator simulators that are actually like an airplane simulator. Those are great to have in schools. Like we're blessed in several of our high schools to have CAT simulators, and again, for those that may not know, that's short for Caterpillar Heavy Equipment Manufacturer. So anything that you can, an employer can do that's in the trades, it doesn't matter how small or how large, every little bit helps. And those simulators, as you well know, a couple of $100,000 or more. So, and the students appreciate that, to be able to sit in there on those simulators and get a real feel, what it's going to be like. And a real quick story I heard previously was last year we had a couple simulators like that, and the young men would get in the seat and they'd dump the simulated dirt on top of the cab of the truck. And I heard the instructor say, guys, now that's why we do the simulation, is because most dump truck drivers own their truck and they don't particularly want their cab sandpapered,
100% right.
And so anything you can do to help those students.
Yeah, those, I would say, a lot of people call those video games, and they say it's a video game, and the response that I have back is like, well, actually, no, it's it's a physics lab. Yeah. Honestly, is because they use the same metric, physics, and data on those that they use on a real machine, so you can go and start talk about efficiency. Yeah, the efficiency, how far you're moving the tool, how much fuel you're using, You know, the next step beyond that is like working with each other and like working together as a team. And so this is the ultimate team sport to me is life.
I think our crew's wanting us to wrap up.
Well, actually, I was told that means keep going.
Really? Well,
Yeah, I was actually told earlier because I did cut it short like that.
Okay.
So, but I will tell you, I got a question. So, and I'm winging this, gentlemen. I got to tell you, like, I make jokes about where I came from in school and what I did, but growing up in life and like, I guess the world of hard knocks, like it teaches you how to at least think fast and think and keep moving. So I'll give that back to the trades. Like the trades taught me that. But the question I have is like, how can we get more parents behind these kids out here doing this? Would either one of you guys want to take that? Is like what'll get parents behind their kids?
I think again, counselors and teachers assessing where students are in life, you know, whether they're in the 9th grade or the 11th grade, and has anybody helped them try to find what they may like, you know. And that's one of the things we do at our academies and our programs is a student may start in HVAC and find out they don't really have the aptitude. They may have the motivation, but yet they see their classmate in electricity and they want to go there. So we don't encourage jumping around, but 1 or 2 changes so that the student can find what he or she really likes.
Yeah, I would say that's okay. I mean, let them learn as much as they can while you're still young enough to fail, I guess.
How many young people actually know what they want to do with their life and are sure of it? I've seen it in mine. You go to college, they switch majors. My own sons have done different things as well. Like I say, I think the key is to exposure and find something that you enjoy doing, that you can contribute and do a good job, and there you go.
Yes, sir. Well, I think that's very wise, and I appreciate both of your honesty and taking the time to sit down and talk with me about this. I would say this is definitely a bucket list for a kid from Cobb County schools to sit down with you gentlemen. I'm going to give it back over to Greer, and we're at the AGC Metro Skills Challenge with Strack Inc.
All right. Thanks, Aaron. We're going to continue on with the Empower to Build podcast out here at the AGC Skills Challenge in Marietta. We've got a special guest here. So we got Josh here. Josh from Blackline. Josh,
yeah.
give us a little intro. Give us a little info about yourself, man, and what you do.
So I work for a company called Blackline, and we like to say that we're everything trades.
Right.
So we're all about lifting the view of the trades through marketing for construction and the industries, manufacturing, whatever it is. If it's a trade, we want to help tell your story.
Nice.
And so that's really what we're about. And then we also have training for the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing that we work on as well. So a solution to the problem that we're doing.
Well, there's definitely a problem. I mean, and here we are out here at this Skills Challenge, and I spoke with Mike earlier and with AGC, and I think it was every 4 that are leaving the industry, only 1's coming back in.
I'm not great at math, but that don't work.
Yeah, that math ain't mathin'.
Yeah.
but I'm just curious. You mentioned your solution. You know, you like to find solutions.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the solution to this, man? Like, how do we bridge this gap?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of things that we can do. One is what we're doing right now, like having these conversations and talking about it. And you think about it, I don't know exactly how old you are, but when I was younger, the people that talked about, and I talked with you earlier today, and we were talking about college and whatnot, and I'm not against college, and I'm not against the trades.
Right.
I'm for what is best for the individual, and that's what I'm for. So I'm not against either one, but I'm for lifting the view of the trades and communicating the value of people. And I really believe that that's a huge problem that exists in the trades, and colleges have been doing a really good job about communicating value and marketing and saying, come here, we want you. we value you. And one of the things that at Blackline that we're doing to try to be a solution to the problem is helping companies like yours and construction workers and people. This is not natural for us to do this. You know, I was showing people earlier today, hey, this is where you go and you look this up on YouTube, and they're like, what? So educating people and just telling the stories, but if we don't record it, if we don't capture it,
right, then
how do people know that story?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, there's plenty of platforms to get the story out there, and I'm glad you guys are out getting your story out there, and it has to make a difference eventually, right? I mean, wouldn't you think?
Well, and it not only does it have to, I think it already is, and the other thing that's a bigger part of the solution, getting the story out there is really important because I don't know that we've ever really done it the way it's coming to the trades now.
Right.
You know, every week when I get online, there's another company wanting to tell the story of the trades, and that tells me that there's something in the water. People are seeing that there's something there. Going on here right now. We were doing, if you don't get kids when they're in high school, kind of
right.
And so it's like this is a big part of the solution in bringing in people and getting them on the ground floor.
Right.
So
and Mike spoke to it earlier. He says they're reaching out to kids in middle school. They're starting it early, planting that seed early.
Yeah.
And I never thought of that, but that I mean it makes total sense. And you know, when you get into high school, you know, you're always like, oh, you gotta figure out what you're gonna do. Like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do with yourself? Go to college. Well, like, how did we get away from learning a trade? Like,
yeah.
Where did that go? And I don't know. Is that?
I'll tell you where it went. Colleges had a lot of money to invest in marketing and telling a story.
I was coming back to money. That's kind of where.
Yeah. Sorry, I get kind of passionate about it.
No, keep going. Keep going.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. I mean that's where it went, and it's like we're only doing this in the trades now because we've realized there's a problem, and our revelation of the problem. Honestly, I don't want to say it's too late because I don't ever believe it's too late.
Right.
You know, I did a podcast with a guy by the name of Mike Holt, and he's big in the electrical industry, and he had a gentleman that was 60 years old that wanted to become an electrician.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, I don't think it's ever too late, but what I will say is we're coming to the party late as an industry. We have all this stuff out there. You're probably watching me on this thing called the internet, you know, and we haven't been utilizing that stuff. And I was guilty of it too in our construction company. I didn't want to, like, why do I want a Facebook? Why do I want an Instagram? That's not how we win work. And I wasn't realizing that's where people are looking. And the next generation, that's where they're looking.
That's where they live.
That's where they live.
Yeah. And you have to reach out to them, and you have to make it palatable, so to speak, you know, and I keep coming back to this word. You have to make it less intimidating. And that's something that, you know, when I came to Strack, I was, you know, I just did land surveying. I wasn't really so much into the construction world, and there was a certain intimidation factor to it because, I mean, you've got these guys that have been in this industry their entire lives, and their dad was in this industry their entire lives. So it's like trying to ease that intimidation factor is it can be a little tough.
I think that you're touching on something that is really, really important because if I'm going to go back to when I was an apprentice working in the trades, and say I'd been in the trades 4 or 5 years, even going to a new job, like, you know, tradesmen and tradeswomen, we go from project to project.
Yeah.
You know, it's always different. You know, might spend a year or two here on this project, and then we go to this project. But every time that I would even go to a new project, sometimes it was intimidating those people that I'd walk on that project with. So how much more intimidating is to a high school kid or someone, let's say you're not even, look, Greer, I met you up to see you. You're so tall. And, you know, you're an intimidating guy.
No, man.
But you do a really good job of breaking that shell and letting people know with your first handshake that you care about them.
Yeah.
And that's how you not be intimidating.
Yeah. And that's something that Jonathan and I were talking about earlier, is caring, putting that in the forefront. You know, we have talk about these values, talk about them all day, but I mean, those values show that you care.
Yeah.
And when you show, especially the next generation, that you care, and especially like this generation that you care, I feel like that goes so far.
I agree.
So far.
I agree.
And not only that you care about their well-being and their future, but also their personal life.
Yeah.
And teaching them values that they can carry over to their wife, their kids, their to their family, and to hopefully change them in that way.
You know, I think one of the things that is really cool about that is when you care about people, it's about elevating their life.
Yeah.
You know, and these values that you speak of, these things that we're talking about, you know, I believe they work.
Yeah.
And it's like it makes your life better.
Right.
You know, you talk about taking those values. Your values are humble heart, open hands.
Yeah. One of my favorites.
There is nothing that if you implement that in your life that it's not going to make your life better.
For sure.
And that is a huge thing when you care about people. That multiplies and produces fruit outwardly, and it multiplies exponentially.
I think that's another one too. I didn't think about that. It spreads.
Yeah,
absolutely. If you show it day to day to who you come across, it spreads. It can't help but not spread. So that caring and positive mentality and your values and showing that every day. Not only you talk about it, but you got to show it.
Yeah.
And I think that carries on. It has to carry on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think they're not really values if you don't live them out at home just like you do at work.
Right.
You can't turn values on and off.
Right.
And you talked about that earlier too. That was one of the things that attracted you to come here.
Yeah.
Were the values. As a business, if you're listening and you own a construction company or you work with people or you're a manager or anything like that, this is like hiring 101, because turnover costs money.
Right.
And you want to get the pipeline of people in quickly and effectively. So when you communicate your values, automatically you're going to attract people that already align and come into that, and then they're not going to leave as quickly because they're like, ooh, this works.
Yeah.
I like this.
Yeah. And that's the trick is getting people to come in and keeping them. You have to keep them, and I think that's something that every company struggles with, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everyone struggles with keeping them, and I feel like sometimes it comes down to people are chasing the dollar, and they're not chasing the values, and I don't know. That's something that I kind of come across too in my day to day is it's not always about chasing the money, and that was what Jonathan was talking about earlier. Once you put money in your forefront, then that's not you're not going to be successful. Money's a tool, like you said. Money's a tool.
It is,
and you can always make more money.
Well, I know that no one believes that in the sense of if you're younger and you're looking at it, you're like, no, you're just saying that because you're the owner.
Right.
But the reality is, it's true.
Well, I don't think he would have gotten this far.
No, he wouldn't have.
Yeah.
I mean, I have left a job when I was younger for a job to make more money.
Yeah.
And I very quickly realized, oh, this could be this many thousands of dollars more,
right,
but it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Because I hate it.
Yeah. And that's, I don't know. I hope that's another thing that comes across at this skills challenge today, that it's not about the money, and that's not at the forefront, because if you look around, how much money is sitting around out here? You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So
I don't like to think about it, actually.
Right. So I mean, there's a lot of money sitting around here, and
there's a lot of money sitting right here in this corner.
Right. And then on top of that, you have people's time.
Yeah.
And time is money.
Time is money that you can never get back.
Right.
So you spend it wisely because you're spending it regardless.
Right. So spending the time here, we talked about the problem and a solution in time. I think time is another one of those solutions.
I agree.
And I think we touched on it earlier. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's not something that's going to happen in a year. It's going to take a little time.
I believe it comes down to legacy, and we all are going to leave one.
Yeah.
The question is, what is the legacy that you're going to leave?
Right.
I had a young man once that I was talking with, and he was a born leader. Like, people would follow him, and he was not always, doing what he should. And I said to him, I said, you have a choice. You can be a leader that
Come on in, brother.
That leaves a legacy that's good, and will live on that you led people to a better future, or you can be a leader that's going to lead a legacy that sends people to a place that you don't like very much,
right,
and that you're not really proud of.
Right.
And the only way that I know to do that is to do it with intentionality and purpose.
Purpose is a big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Brian,
crashing the party.
Yeah, come on in.
Well, you know.
Josh, this is Brian Hanna.
Hey.
Brian, nice to meet you.
Brian,
Josh, nice to meet you.
Yeah, let's give a little
nice to see you
back.
again too, buddy.
Always a pleasure seeing you, man. You bring a smile to my face.
Well, you bring a smile to my face too, my friend.
Nice. Well, let's give a little background about you. You just sat down, just joined the podcast. Let's see.
Yeah, I was just walking by and been around. And
Come on
been
in
here all morning. And,
the water's fine. Come on in.
And the water temperature looked okay, so thought I'd stop by and just say hi.
Absolutely. Well, me and Josh have been talking about it all day, about the problem of these trades. We've got 4 people leaving and only 1 coming in.
Yeah.
Math ain't mathin'.
Yeah.
So obviously there's a problem. What's the solution? What do you think the solution is?
Well, it starts. This
Right.
is a great start.
I'm glad he said that. That's almost what I said. So this
very
is,
validating. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
I mean, this is so. I mean, I walked around all morning, went inside, not just in what we do in heavy civil construction, site development, but to see, block masons, welders, framers, these young kids getting interested in construction.
Yeah.
Don't want to tell my age too much, but I've been doing this a long time. And, almost back 25, 30, 40 years ago, you were forced into making a decision. Either you went to school or you went to work.
Right. Come on.
Most of us went to work
Right.
that are in the industry now. We went to work.
Yeah.
And that's how you learned. And so the solution is taking these young people who are very interested. They walk around and they're interested in what you're doing, and you present yourself to them in a way that says, hey, come see us. We're inviting you in. These are our values. These are the things that we respect. You can earn a living here.
Yeah.
Everybody's not cut out for college.
Absolutely not.
Hey, come learn a trade.
Yes.
If it's not this trade, it's that trade.
I think one of the things that I find really interesting about the trades versus college is how many stories are there of, and this is really interesting, I know your title, how many stories are there going from shovel to CEO in the trades?
I'm one of them.
Exactly. That's my point.
So yeah, there's a lot of people. I know a lot of people in this industry. Been in the Atlanta area all my life.
Well,
and so I know a lot of people that started at the same place I did that ended up where I'm at or in a very good position just by applying themselves. And have someone apply to this thing that we know in as a leader and pushing that down into other people.
Agreed.
And getting them involved in what we do. It's really just comes down to a decision.
Yeah.
Hey, this is what I want to do. I've talked to many young men over there today and ladies that said, you asked the question, hey, what do you want to do when you get out of school?
Right.
Well, I'm not real sure. Well, you know what? Here's an option.
Yeah.
And it's a good option for you.
Well, not only is it a good option, it's a how do I want to say this? I hate the word safe, but it's more than a safe option in the sense of you're not going into any debt. You're not accumulating any risk. You're learning something right out of the gate, and I think it is a great option when you're not sure what you want to do.
Yeah,
sure. You know what I mean? It's like, we just were talking about how you go from a shovel to a CEO, and it's like, well, what if you're a year or two into it and you're like, you know what, this really isn't for me? Well, guess what? You have no debt. You actually have more money in your bank account, and you can go do something else.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And you have somewhat of an understanding of something that you knew nothing of.
Exactly.
That you can at least carry somewhere.
Well, and if you're lucky enough or blessed enough to join a company like Strack, you guys are big enough that there's more than one thing to do in that company.
Oh man, yeah.
That was what I was going to say.
Oh, sorry.
We have no, you're fine. We have a number
Steal
of
his thunder.
people. We have a number of people that we try to put them in different situations to figure out what is best for them.
Yeah.
You know, young Greer here started out his career as a PM.
Yeah. I
And
hired
now,
on.
now he's in surveying.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was
And now he's
podcasting.
now he's doing podcasts.
Yeah,
So,
man. Just get kind of
you
thrown.
know, there's a number of different avenues as long as you're willing to apply yourself.
There it is.
We're willing to invest in you if you're willing to invest in us. That is a motto that we.
And I can 100% agree to that. 'Cause
Yeah,
I've lived it. I know it. So it's,
You know,
it's
hey,
out there.
I figured out I didn't want to be on the grading side. I would rather be in the surveying, or hey, I would rather be a PM than people come and apply. Everybody wants to be a PM, right?
Think long and hard about that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
They find out, you know what,
Yeah.
that ain't for me.
It's a tough one.
I would rather.
I don't know what it's like in your business, but in our industry, in the electrical, if you're a PM, it's essentially like being your own business owner without owning anything.
Oh yeah,
You're responsible for
I'm
everything.
responsible for all the money.
Yeah.
Every day.
I thought I just.
I want to be a position truck all day, and I'm like, no.
No. A little bit more responsibility than that, especially once a month, right?
A lot more.
You got to do podcasts too.
That's
so.
it.
And you got to fit in podcasts.
Yes.
But yeah, there's many different avenues that you can take in any industry,
Right.
electrical. You know.
Yeah.
But we're fortunate enough at Strack to have those avenues.
Oh gosh,
and we
yes,
have
yes.
a lot of them, and that was something that I try to tell everybody that comes up. You know, I was like, "You want to operate equipment?" They're like, eh. I'm like, "Well, we got more than that there. You know,
Yeah.
that's a part of it. It's a pretty big part of it. But we have other things going on, and that was something that I think you and I spoke about earlier. Is just because you get into a construction industry doesn't mean that you have to be the one on the ground pushing the shovel. I mean, there's plenty of other options under that umbrella for you to succeed at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and wouldn't you say we were talking earlier about, you know, the opportunity that's there. I find it really interesting. Like when you started, there was a certain level of opportunity to go from shovel to CEO. I think the coolest thing about where we are now in time in this generational shift is there's a lot more opportunity to become the CEO than there's ever been before.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of opportunity. I go back to as long as you're willing to apply yourself. I can't stress that enough. Is that it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
That's another thing that we struggle with in this industry in this day and age is that.
Well, to be clear, it's more than heavy civil. It's every area of the industry.
Yes, I know. And so it. Yeah, as long as you're willing to come in and start and apply, you can grow, you can make a great living, and you can, as long as you're willing to learn and take the steps and put in the necessary time, the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Because
Boy, that's the truth.
we're at a point right now at Strack where we would love to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have more opportunity right now. I'm sure Jonathan probably mentioned all this. It's amazing the opportunity that we have in this industry just in what we do.
Right.
Wow.
More than ever.
But we have, in order for us to keep climbing, we have to grow and you have to bring people in. And that's where we find ourselves, what y'all have been talking about all day.
Yeah.
How do we get over that hump? And it's doing stuff like this.
I
Is the only
think
way.
this is a good starting point.
It is. It's
I
a
think
great
this is a
starting
great
point.
starting point.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that Jonathan is willing to put the time, the effort, and obviously the money into it because.
Boy, that's some legacy thinking right there.
Yeah, because
the amount of money that he's investing in doing this.
Right. We spoke about it earlier. This is a slow burn kind of thing. This is not something that you've got to put the time in and to let it grow and let it flower, so to speak, and see what we can get from it. And there's definitely no guarantees, but damn, you got to do something.
Well, look, the company started in 1948.
Yeah.
76 years to get to where we are today, right?
But a slow burn isn't a bad thing.
No,
I mean,
no.
I'm a northern boy, So I love a good fire around this time of year, you know. And I don't know if you know where that term comes from, but there are different types of wood, obviously.
Right.
And that's one of the things that I enjoy to do with my family is my boys and I will go out and my daughter will go out and we'll split wood, we'll cut down trees and whatnot and prepare them because I like to have a fire burning all winter long.
Nice.
I learned very early on about black locust versus, you know, something like a maple or even an oak. Right. A slow burn is like a black locust. When you are building a fire, it's really hard to get it lit. Mm-hmm. It's really, really hard to get it lit, but I can light one of those logs in my fireplace and there's nothing but cold ash.
That's right.
That's right. So a slow burn isn't a bad thing. It's a lot of work to get it started.
Right.
Yep.
But once you get it started, then it can burn and it can keep burning.
Yep. And that's exactly where we are right now.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome.
It is. It's. We are very fortunate. We find ourselves in a very, very good spot right now. And, you know, it's just decisions that have to be made how we get over that hump.
Right.
Yeah.
And,
well, man, I'm happy to be a part of it. I truly am happy to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And I know the future is bright for us.
It is.
I know it is. It has to be. Yeah. I mean, you know, we're doing stuff like this. We're getting involved, so it has to be bright.
Yep.
It has to be.
All right, guys. Well, I've taken up enough of y'all's time.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey,
And,
very nice meeting you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And always,
Brian, as always, Brian. Good to see you, man.
All right.
Take care. Who we got coming up next? We got well, that was good having him, man.
Yeah, that was good.
Is that your first time meeting him?
That is my first time.
Yeah.
Well, I want to be careful since I'm saying it on camera. I might have met him before, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Howdy.
How are you, man?
I'm all right.
Cody?
Good to see you again. Yes, sir.
Cody, nice to meet you, man.
Yes,
Cody,
sir.
you want to throw some headphones
throw
on
those
there?
headphones on, man.
Makes you feel like there's nobody else around. Actually,
Yeah.
that's not true.
Yeah. Well, Cody, I'm Jonathan Greer. I'm with Strack Incorporated. This is the Empowered to Build podcast. Thank you for being here, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. So let's get a little background about you, man. Let's spill the beans.
All right. So I graduated high school, applied to some colleges, realized what it was going to cost, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
It's been
So I took an air
part of the subject today.
took an air conditioning apprenticeship position, and they paid for me to go to trade school, and I made money while I was doing it.
Good for you.
And that was like a 3-year thing, and then I went straight into being a HVAC technician. And so I was in that industry over 10 years, and
Wow.
my wife was a teacher. And, you know, I told her one day, I'm like, you know, I think I'd like doing what you do and try to give back and catch people like me, let people know you don't have to go to college.
Right.
You know, I did go to college for that, but that
Right.
was to get the credentials to be a teacher.
Right.
But I didn't go back after my trade school days until I became a teacher.
So if I can, this is just interesting because we talked about this. You actually did something that I have been promoting where it's like, I really think learning a trade first is a good thing to do because of that life learning that it gives you, no matter what trade it is, whether it's heavy civil, whether it's electrical, whether it's HVAC. Can you tell Greer and I a little bit about what do you feel like that benefited you in doing it in that way first?
You know, I think learning from people that have already been doing it for years, you know, which some of the guys that taught me, they said, look, we're not going to teach you a shortcut way. We're going to teach you how to do it right. Then you'll learn ways to speed up later.
A ton of value
Learn
in
it
that.
right.
Yeah, ton of value in that.
Yeah, it was huge.
Yeah.
They taught me how to do it. And, you know, I learned a lot about their demeanor, how they carried themselves, how they interacted with customers. There was a lot to that.
Yeah.
You know, you don't get that in a classroom.
I think customer interaction is a big one.
Yeah.
That's often overlooked.
I apologize. I was very distracted by 2 giant C-130s flying overhead right now.
Yeah, look at that. That's cool.
That is good.
So I don't know if the Air Force is here marketing today, but if they are, they just killed us.
Yeah, they're crushing it.
Everybody's like, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what? So let's get back into this. So where do you teach at?
I teach at Empowered College and Career Center, Jackson County,
Jackson
Jefferson,
County,
Georgia.
Nice.
Yes, sir.
Cool.
Yeah.
Tell you what, that part of the world's growing up, man.
It is. Yeah, it's getting huge.
Yeah,
So,
man.
yeah.
Cool. So we're here at this skills challenge, right? And we've been talking about it. So there's every guest we've had on, we've been talking about the same question. So we're going to ask you. So there's for every 4 people that leave this industry, only 1 is coming back in. So obviously, math ain't mathin'. There's a problem. What kind of solution do you think there is? And I know there's not a easy button on this. So
Yeah.
So what do you think?
If there is an easy button, we want to know.
Yeah. Bring it out.
I think the tide has started changing some. I think with doing stuff like this, trade schools is getting more. Just the addition of heavy equipment operator program in the high school. This third year in the state of Georgia, we got 25 schools now doing what I teach.
Wow, nice.
You started out with 6, and then it went to 15. Now we got 25. So that's growing. I see the tide changing some. Maybe students are starting to realize I don't have to go to college. I can go make a living and actually love what I do. But I don't think we're fully there yet. But it is changing, I think. So I like where we're headed for sure.
For sure. It seems like the more and more we do this, it has to grow.
Right.
It has to keep going. So you teach, you're there every day. So are kids hungry to learn this stuff? Are they eager to get out there, or how's that looking?
There's some that I can tell they don't really want to do this. But then there's others, their face lights up. So with my program, we go out and do vision trips.
Okay.
We do a capstone project where they do a series of events, series of things. They're judged by the operators. And so that's at the end, and that's coming up. We've already done 3 vision trips this semester, though. So my school's behind it. They're backing it. And, after the second, maybe the first or second vision trip, several students that was working for in other trades fields, they're like, hey, you know what? I love this. I want to quit. I'm putting in my resignation. I want to work in this field. So I've been trying to make contacts with different companies so I can get my students hired. I've had 3 or 4 already hired this semester while they're in school.
Good.
So I'm seeing some positive change there, too. You can tell the ones that really want to do this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So where you said there were 6 schools originally involved. Was it 6 or
6? Yes, sir.
How did we get that jump to? What did you say? 23? Is that what you said? Or
25?
25.
Yeah,
man, I'm all out of my mind. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How did we get and how did we get that jump and over what time frame are we looking at?
So this is the 3rd year, and the way it started with the heavy equipment pathway. 3 years ago, really a little longer than that, Jeremy Whitaker with C.W. Matthews had this vision for this thing. He approached Georgia Highway Contractors Association and said, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Would you guys back this? So they corresponded together, got it, got a grant from the government, got it in 6 schools in Power, where I teach was one of the first of the 6. And then they grew it the next year, got more grant money, and went to 15 schools. And like I say, now we're at 25 this year. And we're not planning on growing the program across the state any bigger currently. We're going to try to build that, and the guys at the GHCA, their question currently is, where do we go from here? What do we do now to make sure this blossoms?
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're getting like top-down buy-in on this.
I am.
Like a lot of it. That's awesome. That's awesome. And then like parents, are they behind it? Because I feel like that's a big one. That's a big one too. I speak about it earlier about just being present. Parents being present in their kids' future and stuff like that. So are you getting a good buy-in from that? Or?
Absolutely. Yeah. Parents love it. Of course, there's parents here today too at this event coming to watch their students compete. But I've had a great experience talking to different parents. They're like, hey, we want our kids to get a job, and go into the industry. And my background's HVAC, but now I'm teaching construction, highway construction, horizontal construction. But what I've noticed is with that field, there is way more industry partners back in that, pouring money and time into that than there's ever been.
What you're saying right there is if you're listening to this and you're an electrician, you're a plumber, you're an HVAC installer, and that's your company, you need to get off your butt and get out there. I mean, you're saying right there that the heavy civil industry, and this is interesting to me. I mean, we just got to talk about this. Like, when we do projects, there are different specialty contractors that do different things. So it's appropriate that you guys are the first boots on the ground, because that is how it works. But now the buildings need to be built. And so us other trade industries, we need to get in there. And I'm speaking as an electrical contractor. We need to get in there and we need to start working alongside companies like yourselves to be doing this stuff to lift the view of the trades. We absolutely need to do that. That's an interesting take.
Yes, sir.
Lifting the view of the trades, I think that's the takeaway there to me, in my mind.
Yeah.
I want to see all the trades do the same.
Yeah.
I want to see that.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's something I learned early on is, when we drive past jobs that we do, if we have kids, we're like, I'm like a little kid with my kids. I'm like, I did that. I built that.
Yeah.
And my son would always say to me, he goes, I thought you were an electrician. I didn't know you build things. I was like, smart Alec. But he made me realize something. I don't build alone.
Right.
There's not a building out there that we build. And this is what's really cool about sitting here with you. You were in the trades, and now you're taking what you've learned and you're going and you're investing in young people, because it's not a Strack thing, it's not a black line thing, it's not even a you thing in the school. It's an all of us thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
If we're going to build something, we got to build it together.
Yeah,
That's right.
It has to be. There has to be a togetherness. There has to be teamwork.
Absolutely.
As cheesy as that sounds, but I mean, it's the reality of it.
But it is the reality.
You have to have teamwork, and you have to have buy-in, man.
Right. Yeah.
You have to have it amongst everyone.
Absolutely.
It's not just one-sided. It has to be from everyone.
There's enough students too, for everybody. If we can promote it across the board, there's enough students out there that want to work. And there's a lot that they're like, I don't want to go to college. And actually, I got some students, they didn't really want to graduate high school, to be honest with you. And then we got them, one of them's working for E.R. Snell now.
Oh, cool.
He loves it. He's on a bridge crew. He's working hard, and he's going to finish high school. Now, he may not go anywhere beyond high school, but he's at least going to finish high school, and he's got a job when he graduates.
Good for him.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, college is definitely not for everyone.
Yeah.
And I think that is great that there is other avenues for them to go on.
Yeah.
And there's support for that. And because I think I mentioned it earlier that college was what it was, either join the military or go to college. And so I don't know. My dad always pushed college on me and my brothers, and I get it. It changed his life when he went to college, but he was one of those, went to the military, then when he got out of the military, went to college. So it was kind of like getting to what you were saying, get out in the world first and then come back to college. But he really pushed that on me and me and my brothers, and that's what we did. And then,
well, Greer, do we have time to actually continue to talk about that? Because here's the thing. You touched on something there, is why did parents do that back then? Why did they push college? It's a rhetorical question. I think I have the answer. I believe that the trades were different back then.
Well, I agree, and I think I think it was viewed differently too.
But I think it was viewed different. I agree with you. I think it was viewed differently, but I think it was viewed differently because were there companies back then saying, "Hey, here's our values"?
No.
Humble hearts, open hands. Were there companies investing? No, there weren't.
Yeah.
And so there was a view, and listen, I'm saying this as someone who has been an owner and a founder. That's on us.
Yeah.
That's on us. And if you work in an organization, in the trades, we need to change it, that it's like, oh my goodness, people see the culture at Strack, that you talk about C.W. Matthews. I know they're a good company. There are all these companies out there, right. And if they're doing it right, and we're changing the view of what it is that it is to be in construction.
Right.
The more that we can do that, and that comes from being intentional, the better off we can be.
Definitely.
True.
Definitely got to be intentional. Definitely. Do we have more? No.
Are we going to someone else, Caleb? Or?
Yeah, we're bringing in students.
Okay.
Nice.
You guys
All right.
go for like 2 more minutes, going to queue them up.
Well, Greer and I can talk all day long.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Hey, I can if you want me to. It's up
Yeah.
to you.
You might have said this or not, but were you pushed to college out of high school, or
Not really.
Just your-
No. Just
kinda went for it?
I saw the price tag. I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I don't have the money for it. I'm not borrowing the money.
Well, man, when I went to college, it was like I said, my dad kind of really pushed it, and because my dad was in the military, and when he was in, this is what he tells me, that when he was in, he was. I need to get one of those. So
That's an interesting outlook. Yeah.
Yeah. So when he got out of college, out of the military, he was drafted after all that. Once after he got out, he had the GI Bill, so he was just gobbling up degrees. He got an associate's, a bachelor's, and a master's, and just crushed them. And then got into Department of Corrections and did that for 30-something years. But but I mean, it's just but that was what he pushed on to us, and I don't know if it's like not knowing or just how his thought was, but because when I got done with high school, I was like, I don't know what I want to do, And he's like, go to college.
It's interesting. What you're talking about there is something I think. Did you say your dad was in the military?
Yes.
Yeah. So was mine.
Okay.
And he tells stories about Vietnam, and I think the trades are a lot like the battlefield.
Right.
And he tells these stories because he was in the military during wartime, and they would have these lieutenants that would come out that had been to college, and they would show up, and the first thing that they would do is the lieutenant would learn that he had zero authority.
Yeah.
Because there was a guy that had been on multiple tours, and he was a sergeant, which they would call a working man.
Right.
And that sergeant kept people alive.
Yeah.
And so, in that regard, I think the trades are a lot like the battlefield, where it's like you can't show up in the trades and have a degree and say that you know how to do road work,
right?
Or you know how to do electrical work, or you know how to, like, your degree doesn't mean anything. I got to see that you can do it. And so that's the other aspect of when we learn a trade and we can do it. College isn't bad, but have it in the right order.
Right.
And I think that's just an interesting way to look at it, the way your dad is talking about it. That's something that we have to be really intentional about.
Right.
I wasn't really pushed to go to college, but my dad's a roofer. My brother went the same path. He's a roofer, so they're in trades. But the biggest thing I see as a teacher now, I see students that go into the trades, they start making money, and they didn't want to go to college maybe or whatever. Maybe they did, but they go out and get a $800 truck payment. So something I do at the school level too, I'm like, look, just because you go get a job, start investing money, saving money, get some financial runway to where if you decide you want to go to college, you can pay for it. Don't go out and borrow the money for it. Yeah, GI Bill is awesome.
I think the finance aspect of it is another big part.
It's huge.
Of especially coming out of high school, going to work, you're starting to get those paychecks. And you're not always prepared to see, you start seeing some decent money coming in, and you just like, man, I like that truck over there. Spend $800 a month on a truck. Like, that's not the best route, man. But
it's true.
But giving the young ones some groundwork for that, I think is the way to go. And I think you guys are being kicked out, man. I think we got 2 students here who are going to jump in.
All right.
But thank you so much for being here, Cody. I appreciate what you're doing,
Hey,
man.
Greer,
Nice talking with you.
I got some younger gentlemen over here that I want to let sit down with you, and let's let
Come on
these
in, man.
the previous generation move out of the way for the incoming generation, get their thoughts on what all this is, how they're doing it. Come on, guys. Come on, let them know what high school you go to, what your names are. It's Jonathan Greer. Hopefully he's not going to ask you too hard of a question.
No, you're good, man. Yeah, throw them on, man. Makes it a little easier to listen.
So Greer, I'm going to let you go with these 2 young men. I mean, you just
pour it on.
Yeah, like
gotcha.
give them the empowered to build.
Yeah, man. Well, first off, Empowered to Build podcast. We're with Strack Incorporated. I'm sure Aaron gave you all the spiel, man. But tell me your name. What high school you go to?
Connor Dono, and I go to Roswell.
Connor, go to Roswell. I'm terrible with names. I'm gonna do my best to remember. Connor from Roswell. How about you?
I'm Jake Beasley, and I go to Roswell High School.
Nice, man. Nice. So I guess you guys are here. Are y'all part of the skills challenge and stuff?
Yes, sir. We were competing.
Okay, and what?
HVAC.
Nice. So is that definitely where you guys are going after this, or what?
I don't know. I was gonna do drywall originally, and I heard something happened to it, and I knew some people in my family do HVAC.
Nice.
So I decided to do that and try it out, and I really enjoyed the experience. I feel like I've learned new stuff.
Oh man, you can't help but not learn, man.
Yeah.
How about you? You doing the same thing?
Probably. I just got called up to do it. I didn't even know I was gonna do it until yesterday at the end of class. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and it was a good experience.
Cool. Did Aaron give you a rundown of what we do?
Yeah, he told us that y'all on this simulation here.
Yeah.
And y'all go to schools and y'all teach them stuff.
So we're heavy civil contractors. We move dirt, put pipe in the ground, do all that cool stuff. But obviously the reason that we're here is because there's a shortage. There's a gap. There's a gap in the employment. So I don't know if y'all heard this, but there's 4 people that leave the industry. Only one's coming in. So I mean, it doesn't. It's not rocket surgery to figure out that's not sustainable. So. Have you been to these before, both of you guys?
This is our first one.
Nah. So what do you think about it? Tell me what you think. Because I mean, at the end of the day, that's the whole point. Is we're here to get the next generation going, and get you guys sparked into this industry.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. I definitely suggest this a lot.
Yeah.
I think you can learn a lot, definitely.
For sure. How about you?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I feel like I've learned a lot, like Connor said.
Right.
It teaches you things, and it allows you to explore like what's in the construction field and see like what it might interest you in the future for a job.
Yeah, for sure. So, have y'all looked around at other trades and stuff? Is any other interesting interested y'all?
I kind of like the carpentry. That kind of looked fun to do.
Yeah.
This like building walls and stuff.
Right. So tell me this. So y'all are here. Y'all see all these other employers here, and what does that mean to you when you see all these other people here?
It means like there's people here to help us and support us to like learn to grow, and like when we need help doing something, like they're there for us to help us learn and grow.
For sure. You get the same feeling?
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah. Because I mean that's kind of what I get too. Because I've been to I think 2 or 3 of these, and every time we talk to guys like y'all, and what I want you guys to know is that this industry does care. You know, the construction industry does care, and there's kind of always been that kind of, I don't know, intimidation factor about construction or whatever. And I got into this industry 5 years ago in my 30s, you know, and that was it was kind of intimidating for me, you know, and I could see how it would be intimidating for you guys coming in. But I just hope that the message that you guys are getting is that there are people who care, who want you to succeed, and they're putting their money and their time involved in this so you guys can have something to build on and grow on. And so I appreciate you guys being here, man, and it shows that you care, and I hope that you see that everyone else cares too. And I hope you guys have a bright future, man. Connor, David, not David. You're not a David. Jake, Connor and Jake, man, from Roswell. Well, man, how old are y'all again?
I'm 16.
16?
I'm 14.
14. All right, so y'all got a little bit more to go.
Yep.
All right, so you might end up at Strack one day then, man. Well, hey, I'm telling you, don't forget about us, man. If y'all want a good place to work, people to treat you right, people care about you, that's what we're all about, man. And you ain't got to know, you ain't have to know anything. All we ask for is a positive, good effort and positive attitude, man. Those 2 things, you can do anything, man. We'll teach you the rest, man. But thanks again for being here, and I appreciate you guys sitting down with us. I know it was probably uncomfortable for you, but no, I appreciate you guys being here, man, and being a part of the Empower to Build podcast. And I just want to thank everyone for tuning in. I know this was a live podcast. It's kind of the first thing that we've done, and I know it's kind of it's kind of a learning curve for me anyway. But I do appreciate everyone tuning in, and I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I think we crushed it. I think we did a great job, and I think we had great interaction, and I hope nothing but the best for you guys.